Hello, I'm Kochanski, Wilderness Living Skills and Survival Instructor. Here we have a framework that resulted in packing the snow, anchoring our flexible arch materials, in this case being birch, young birch, and making a kind of a framework against which you will lean irregular lumps of snow. And when the snow melted, this remains. So you can see that the structure still continues to hold together. Of course, if these sticks were stuck in the ground, 10 centimeters, it would be a very solid structure. But this was built in the winter. So one way of constructing a hollowed out structure is to build this framework, and then you don't have to have the technical skill of cutting snow blocks so well that you use the technique that the Inuit would use in building a dome that captures the warmth, doesn't let it escape through any holes and so on. And when it's covered completely with snow, then you have got the opportunity to be able to capture warmth using snow itself that melts at 0 degrees Celsius, and so on. And you can see the potential here. And this is built by students who are learning how to put this together. And it also reflects the issue that you've got a class that are all working on it together, and therefore a bit of inconsistency comes in, but it still passes the grade in that it meets the needs. If you do enough of this, you can get very precise, and you can produce structures using this sort of stuff that can be used like monkey bars, and you can have all kinds of children climbing these things without destructing or whatever. We have birch here because it's the longest, toughest material. If it's growing in a dense stand, you can't ask for anything that is as strong and flexible and long in the whole of the boreal forest. We don't limb it sometimes. If you train yourself to handle it, you leave all the branches on and learn how to incorporate them to add to the strength. If you want utter neatness, then you limb except for the last yard or meter of the tip, and then you get something that looks more precise. But in this case, there's a lot of merit to learning how to use the branches, because one, you don't have to spend time limbing them, and number two, you get an additional amount of strength from incorporating them, but the cost might be that it looks more disorganized and so on. With this size of broom handle thick wands, you can build structures to accommodate 20 people like nothing if you have a little bit of experience. But it's very handy in the winter when the snow has to be packed, cut into irregular blocks. A heavy weight snow, a lot of snow is put up at the top first to keep the top from bulging in, because there's a lot of inward pressure. And then you start laying the logs, but the lumps of snow in a spiral fashion until it covers it completely, and then move in without the need to excavate. So here it's a kind of a balancing act between harvesting the wands and spending the time hollowing out this big pile of snow. And you always try to connive some way to avoid doing that. If you do have this approach where you use a large group of people, there are ways to make these structures that once the snow is set, the structure is removed and set up again and again in order to make a village. So you can exploit it in that means as well. But at any rate, we have a unique approach here in the boreal forest that sometimes we build a framework to help us support the snow that creates a bubble, microclimate, tropical microclimate, where the environmental temperature might be 40 below, but the inside temperature, you're sitting down stripped to your underwear, or even stripped to the waist, and you find that life can be very tolerable.